Okay, good afternoon now. Wanted to just touch base on a couple of things that I did post on the Google Classroom page. I think it might be halfway useful for you as you start to get closer to our Wednesday test, or pardon me, a Wednesday quiz date over our 3B vocabulary, and also some of the irregular verbs that we've touched on previously that show up on the vocabulary. So without further ado, let's just make note of a couple of things. Again, this just so happens to be fifth period class. If we took a look, we scrolled down just a little bit, you see something down here posted again at 10:42 a.m. We see something to the effect that it says irregular, and actually there should be two R's in irregular. I'm sorry about that. But you should notice that there is a link. We are going to click on said link and bring up a very exciting document. Now, I may make this just a bit bigger so everybody can see it. But let's take a look at what we've got here, okay? We've got the verb querer. Querer, it means to want. Over in the yellow box over here, I placed that there is something going on known as a stem change. A stem change is going on, okay? And when I say stem changes, that means that the original stem that we had here, which would have been Q-U-E-R, by just hacking off the ER, what happens in a stem change is, in this case, the E, and this particular E right here, changes to an IE, okay? So our stem is not Q-U-E-R, but it is Q-U-I-E-R, okay? So, with that being the case, let's take a look at our conjugation of the verb querer, to want. For the subject of yo in the first person singular, it is quiero. Yo quiero. Second person singular, or with a subject of two, it is tú quieres. You want. You want. Okay? Then conjugating it for a subject of él, ella, or if you're using usted, or if you're using some sort of a proper noun like Owen, Colin, Karina, etc. Okay, these are all ones where you would conjugate the verb querer to quiere. Okay, so all of our singular conjugations are quiero, quieres, y quiere. Next one, you should take a look at the nosotros conjugation. Okay, nosotros conjugation. The verb querer is conjugated for queremos. Okay, and then down here, ellos, ellas, ustedes, or multiple proper nouns. Okay, those would all be quieren. Now, the stem change occurs here, 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 and here, but not here. If you remember, that was the whole idea of the boot, okay? Our book does not talk about the boot configuration, but whether or not you like the boot idea or not, basically there is a quote-unquote boot shaped of all the things that stem change. Okay, so utilize that to help yourself remember which ones stem change, or just simply remember that nosotros does not stem change. That is oftentimes the case as you go through your Spanish career, that everything will change but the nosotros conjugation. So let us continue. Let's take a look at preferir. The exact same thing happens with preferir as did querer. Okay, it is a stem changer, and in case you did not realize, we're going to drop off the IR and we get a stem, which normally, if this was a regular verb, our stem would be P-R-E-F-E-R, okay, prefer, okay? However, in the case of this one, the stem changes. Our stem is not P-R-E-F-E-R, it is instead P-R-E-F-E-R. I-E-R. Okay, so our yo form, prefiero, our tu form, prefieres, él, ella, usted, prefiere. Okay, so prefiero, prefieres, prefiere. And then over here on our plural side of our grid, the nosotros is preferimos. Notice, no stem change whatsoever. And then down here in the third person plural, prefieren. So we have a stem change here, prefiero, prefieres, prefiere, and prefieren. However, up here in the nosotros form, the third person singular, we have no stem change whatsoever. Preferimos, preferimos. Okay, let's take a look here at the verb tener. Tener, it's got a little funkiness going on. We've got that E to IE stem change going on. You've got nosotros, nothing happening there. But, strangely enough, you've got something even weirder going on in the yo form, okay? What is this weirdness, you ask? Well, let me tell you. The weirdness is the fact that right here at the end of it, as opposed to just merely slapping on a O, as you have been taught to do and you're probably ready to do right now, realize that for some reason, this is not a typo, there is some reason that the Spanish language has decided to put the letter G in there. So it is not yo tengo, it is yo tengo, okay? The yo form of the verb tener, to have, is actually conjugated tengo, okay? So in this case, yo tengo, I have. The to form, tu tienes. And then we're back to the stem changing again. The E, the T-E-N of the original stem changes to a T-I-E-N-E-S. Tienes. El and ella and usted tiene. And then nosotros tenemos, no stem change. And then ellos, ellas, and ustedes tienen. So, our weird things going on here. We have the yo form, yo tengo, or I have, okay, that G-O at the end of it. We have the nosotros form, which doesn't stem change at all. It utilizes that original T-E-N stem change. And then we've got our actual stem changes, where the E in tener turns to an IE. All these are noted right over here in the yellow portion on these four verbs, okay? So if you took a look here, now all of a sudden we have tengo, tienes, tiene, tenemos, y tienen. Last but not least, we have the verb hacer, to do or to make, okay? Now, with that being the case, to do or to make, we're going to need to conjugate it. Now, as horrible as the stem changing that just occurred in the previous three verbs, you're probably tired of doing it. You should be happy, because now all of a sudden we are at an end point where we're not going to be looking at all that much of a change in terms of our stem changes. Let's take a look here. Our yo form is the only thing. Let me say that again. It is the only thing that is going to change in the conjugation of the verb hacer. It is the only thing that is irregular. Yes, it has a change, but only one change. Okay, so the yo form of the verb hacer is hago. Okay, and again, hacer, to do or to make, starts with the letter H, and you want to make sure that you do not make that H sound. Okay, hago. Yo hago, or I do, or I make. Then it is tu haces. No stem change, no G, no nothing. Okay, just normal conjugation. Hago, haces, hace, hacemos, y hacen. Okay? Yo hago, tú haces, él, ella, usted hace, and then nosotros hacemos. Ellos, ellas, and ustedes hacen. Okay, again, that H sound is not being pronounced. Okay, so a couple things that you just need to be cognizant of. We've got 4 verbs that are all fair game on this quiz on Wednesday. We have querer, Okay? We have preferir, we have tener, and we have hacer. Now, one thing I did not talk about were the endings for the verbs that we have here. I kind of took it that maybe at this point you guys might be clear on that. However, if you are not, these verbs are very nice because if you took a look at, say, I don't know, let's take a look at the verb preferir. It is an IR verb. And you also have the verb querer. It is an ER verb. Okay? For ER and IR verbs, our endings are O, S, E, and N for all of them. Okay? Both querer and preferir. You can compare, contrast, compare, contrast. Okay? But the only difference is the nosotros form. Okay? Queremos is, querer is an ER verb. Therefore, queremos ends in an EMOS. The nosotros form ends in an EMOS for an ER verb. Preferir is an IR verb. The nosotros conjugation of this IR verb is preferimos. Preferimos, IMOS. Okay? So, O, there we go. O, S, E, emos, N for an ER verb. Okay? O, S, E, emos, N for an IR verb. Okay? Those are your endings. So, with that being the case, I am going to stop right there. Actually, no, I'm not going to stop right there. I'm going to mention one other thing, and we're going to touch more upon this tomorrow. But what I will tell you, let's bounce over back to the exciting page. Notice that maybe Mr. Skeen might have posted something at 1:15. Let's take a look at the classwork, folks. Let's take a look at it. And every single class got this, including first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. Okay, so let's take a look at it. If we were to take a look at the conjugation practice, 3B Quizlet verb conjugation practice, and we clicked on this particular link, it would give you all sorts of opportunities to be able to conjugate the verb hacer. Okay, and guess what? Let's take a look at this. What is the nosotros conjugation for hacer? You can definitely find all of these answers on this page right here, okay? But I'd really like you to try and practice. And given the fact, let's just take a look at a couple of them and then I'll stop, okay? This is a nosotros one. You better remember, all four of these verbs that I exposed you to were these boot verbs, And as a result of these boot verbs, you will notice that there is no stem change whatsoever in the nosotros form. So in this case, it is nosotros hacemos. Let's take a look at the next one. Ellos. E to an IE stem change, if you happen to remember that. Ellos tienen. I should flip it over. Okay. Let's take a look at the next one. Hacer. Okay. First person singular is how you would conjugate this verb, hacer. And if that was the case, would be hace. I want you to be familiar with how these various verbs and their appropriate subjects are conjugated. Okay, so I will stop there, but we're going to spend some more time on this tomorrow, the day before the quiz that will be happening on Wednesday, the 18th. So, without further ado, I will tell you, have a good day, and I'll call it quits right there. Thanks a lot.